Durston Gear X-Dome 2 Review. The Trek. There are few things I'm as passionate about as I am Dan Durston's innovative and thoughtfully designed ultralight backpacking gear. As a gear reviewer, I've had the chance to test out a good number of tents in various conditions. For me, no tent even came close to touching the X-Mid Pro 1, which I've carried with me for over 3,500 miles of backpacking. So, when the chance came to test Durston's first foray into a freestanding two-person tent, I jumped at the opportunity. Fair warning, this will be a long review. When it comes to a piece of gear as important and expensive as a tent, I think it's only right to really dive into the minute design decisions that differentiate a product and may be the difference between a comfortable night outdoors and a sleepless night. Durston X-Dome 2. https durstongear.com/product/X-Dome2 Ultralight Tent. At a glance, MSRP $469. Weight 2.7 pounds. Fly only 17.6 ounces. 32 square feet, 88 inches. Sizing, 2-person. Shop the X-Dome 2. https durstongear.com/product/X-Dome2 Ultralight Tent. Intended use. The main use of the X-Dome 2 focuses on three-season backpacking, meaning it's engineered to perform exceptionally well in typical spring, summer, and fall conditions. This includes reliable protection against rain, moderate winds, and cooler temperatures, while prioritizing ventilation and a lighter weight over the heavy-duty insulation and snow-loading capabilities needed for deep winter. The bottom of the doors nearly reach the ground, which I found to be helpful when climbing out of the tent in the morning. It may seem small, but having to lift my legs up and over a bathtub's floor to carefully extricate myself from a tent can be tough the morning after a hard hike. Circumstances of review. I tested the Durston X-Dome 2 in the White Mountains of New Hampshire, where the spring weather brought plenty of rain. It was a perfect environment to see how the tent performed in variable weather conditions and how it held up to wet weather. I also used it on a trip in drier Colorado, which allowed me to see how it performed in the climate where I do the most backpacking. X-Dome 2 tent features. Versatile pitching options. The X-Dome 2 offers multiple pitching configurations, which I loved. You can pitch the Rainfly first, which keeps the inner tent dry during setup in wet conditions. The Fly First pitch is intuitive with no extra parts or techniques. Alternatively, you can set up the inner tent first for stargazing on clear nights, or even pitch both layers pre-connected for a quick setup. Generous interior space. This tent is highly spacious for a 2P tent, including excellent headroom from the tall height and near vertical walls, and a large floor. The 52-inch width extends the full length, comfortably accommodating 2 wide sleeping pads. The near vertical end walls maximize usable length, and the 43-inch peak height is maintained over a good portion of the ceiling, creating a spacious feel. The floor space is generous. 2 wide sleeping pads easily fit side by side. With a single sleeping pad, there is enough room for me to have my pack next to me without touching. Durable polyester fabric. The tent uses 15D silicone-impregnated polyester, SIL polyester fabric for the Rainfly. Polyester is a robust material that does not sag or absorb water in wet conditions, ensuring a taut pitch and quick drying. This non-sag fabric approaches a similar strength as lightweight nylons. The inner tent is available in a regular mesh version for ventilation or a solid fabric version for added warmth and protection. This review covers the regular mesh version of the tent. Efficient vestibules and doors. 2 large, well-protected vestibules, each approximately 9 square feet, provide ample space for gear storage. Both tent users have their own zippered doorway for convenient entry and exit. The main vestibule area is beside the door instead of blocking it, so you don't find yourself tripping over your gear on your way in and out of the tent. The doorway is also protected and overhanging to keep rain out. Even in heavy rain, the efficient ventilation pockets prevented condensation within the tent. Thoughtful ventilation and storage. The X-Dome 2 includes 2 large ceiling vents that can be opened or closed to encourage airflow and minimize condensation. Inside, you'll find 2 small interior pockets, a large raised pocket at one end, and several interior hang loops for drying gear. Robust pole structure. The tent utilizes a double Y-shaped pole structure with a horizontal crossbeam pole made from strong and lightweight Easton carbon poles. Larger diameter tubing is used in high-stress areas for improved durability. At the price point of this tent, carbon poles are rarely seen, which was a welcome surprise. Additionally, trekking pole connection points are available to reinforce the structure in high winds. Uniquely, these can be anchored to the fly edges in a counterbalanced position to directly support the sidewalls against wind deflection. Waterproof seams. All seams on the X-Dome 2 are waterproofed to avoid the need for additional seam sealing. Not only is there ample space to sit up inside, but the ability to pitch the rainfly first is wonderful when setting up in the rain. Usage. Now that we've covered the features, let's dive into how the tent performs in real-world conditions. Weather resistance. The Durston X-Dome 2 provides reliable weather resistance for 3-season backpacking. In the White Mountains, it handled rain well, keeping the interior dry. The polyester fabric performs as expected, not sagging when wet, and shedding water effectively. The fly extends low to the ground, offering protection from drafts and splashing rain, and the dual roof vents assist in managing condensation. While designed for 3-season use, its structure can be bolstered with trekking poles for improved stability in stronger winds. In Colorado's drier conditions, the tent's excellent ventilation was clear. I never woke to condensation inside the tent walls. Setup. The setup process for the X-Dome 2 is generally intuitive, especially after a couple of practice pitches. The ability to pitch the rainfly first is a particularly strong point for this tent. In rainy New Hampshire, I appreciated being able to get the fly up quickly, providing a dry space to then set up the inner tent. One minor point for me is the directional orientation of the poles and rainfly. It is not immediately obvious which pole segment connects to which side of the tent, or which end of the rainfly aligns with which part of the pole structure. This can lead to a moment of fumbling during initial setup, especially in low light or adverse weather. However, this is easily mitigated by sticking a small piece of Lugo tape or colorful tape to the corresponding parts of the pole and the tent, creating clear visual cues for setup. Once I made this small modification, setup became very quick and easy. You are still able to pitch the tent if you switch the tent poles around, but one side will be very baggy and you'll worry about stretching the other side to the point of damage. Packability. The X-Dome 2, at 2.7 pounds, 1,250 grams, is lightweight for a freestanding 2-person tent, weighing about the same as the lightest fully freestanding 2P tents, while being more spacious, protective. And, in my opinion, user-friendly. It packs down to a manageable size, fitting well within a standard backpacking pack. Some bags with a dedicated tent pocket on the side may be able to hold the tent. Durston X-Dome 2 Tent Pros. Ability to pitch rainfly first. This is a truly helpful feature, especially when setting up camp in wet or rainy conditions, as it keeps the inner tent dry throughout the process. I'd put this feature in the bucket of I never knew I was missing it until I got to try it for the first time. No more hasty tent setup in the rain while all my stuff gets wet. Massive amount of interior space. The 32 square feet of floor area and impressive headroom allow for comfortable accommodation of 2 wide sleeping pads and ample room for gear inside, which is not always the case with lightweight 2-person tents. My partner and I, both with wide pads, had no problem fitting inside. Adding the interior bug net is optional. If you want lots of ventilation with protection from the rain, you could easily just carry the rainfly and poles. Price is cheap for a tent of this caliber. At $469, the X-Dome 2 offers exceptional value for its weight, spaciousness, and overall build quality. As a premium ultralight tent, the price is always going to make it a pretty major investment. But I really do think the quality and functionality of this tent far surpasses its competitors of the same price. Durable and waterproof polyester, the sil polyester fabric holds up well in varied weather, maintaining its tautness and waterproofness without sagging. I usually reach for a freestanding tent when I think weather will be variable. It's great to have an option that I know can hold up to some rain without sacrificing any of my comfort. Directional pole rainfly orientation during setup. The main challenge I encountered was the lack of clear demarcation for the pole and rainfly orientation. The poles and fly are directional, and getting them aligned correctly can take a moment of thought. My simple solution of adding small pieces of colored tape to the matching ends of the poles and tent connection points resolves this entirely, but I do wish the design had something like this already incorporated. I love magnetic door holders. When I want to close them, I can just gently tug on the fabric with one hand. Would I recommend this gear? Yes, without hesitation. If you are an ultralight hiker seeking a freestanding two-person tent that prioritizes space, protection, and value, the Durston X-Dome 2 is an excellent choice. It performs exceptionally well in a variety of conditions, from rainy New Hampshire trails to drier Colorado landscapes. The minor initial learning curve with pole orientation is easily overcome with a simple visual cue. This tent offers a high level of comfort and performance for its weight and price. Shop the X-Dome 2, https://durstongear.com/product/X-Dome 2 Ultralight Tent. Comparable products, Big Agnes Copper Spur HVUL2, www.rei.com/product/245273/Big Agnes Copper Spur All 2 Tent. Store, Kawialade, 120217890194346. Kagid, 11244756552. CATITI, PLA, 448713818858. CMMMC equals PLA Google, %7C, 2170000170551, 24527300002, 448713818858, 7 Brand Flag, 7790685557. GAD Source equals 1, GAD Campaign ID, 797906. Gabrade, 0 AAAAAA, DTL WO YKM, XXXXXXX. G-Clid, CJOKCQJW NFDBIAR, ILACD, ALIBA2, PHDS ABZ, HI, 0023 AKL, WC, WSKI, ISP. NSRP, 5